Welcome back, ladies and gentle people. We found ourselves another game to jump on into. This is another round one match. It will be Bump Times versus Step16ICUDOUCME. That is a bit of a handful name, and we're just going to jump straight into it. Once again, this will be on. Where are we? Boom. Altair, I believe it is. Oh, Dry Arabia. My apologies, I got the wrong map to you. So, with this available, let's get going and get ourselves some Age of Empires action underway. Now, spawning in as the French will be Steb16. His opponent will also be the French, being played by BumpTimesBack. So thank you all for tuning in. Remember, this is a tournament that will be going on for multiple rounds today. I believe there is going to be at least 5, 6, there's at least 6 or 7 rounds going on. And that includes the grand finals at the end of the day, which will be best of 3 series. Now let's have a little bit of a discussion of these two teams. So, because we're seeing a French v French lineup, it's going to come down to a lot of your knight micro and also your macro of the French, because you need to be able to make sure you get the income and you've properly tuned your build order to get your first knight out of that school of cavalry as soon as possible, because you want to go explore your opponent, put some pressure on it. So if you get it timely enough and they are slow, your first knight can cause havoc against your opponent and then cause them a panic a little bit. If you can reduce your opponent's gold income as well, you start slowing down their knight income. You slow down their knight income. As a French, you get further and further ahead, because once you hit chivalry and get that passive health regen on your knights, then it becomes a hit and run tactics. And if you have more knights, you win as French. It's usually as simple as that. So let's have a little bit of a discussion of these map spawns. There's Gold Vein for BumpTimesBack is going to be a little bit closer, which is a shorter distance for idle time. It allows it to be a little bit easier to be protected from any knight harassment. A lot of time, if it's too far back, for example, with this little Gold Vein, it would be a little bit further, you might have to drop a tower, so then your villagers have some way of being protected. With this, there's a little bit of a shorter distance to run back to your tower's protection. However, it still leaves them vulnerable. In terms of expansions, there really are no hunts that are quite close to either person. The hunt for Steb16 is real far in front of the spawn, and sure, you can drop a TC down in the front, secure yourself a little bit more position. You do need to have that constant aggression at the start of the map to make sure that you feel comfortable and confident enough to be able to go with that kind of TC drop. And a similar position for bump times is hunt a little bit off to the side, which doesn't really help secure the rest of the map. You might see another TC get dropped around on the corner here, because you are a lot closer to both berry bushes and the wood line, which allows you to pump out the villages a lot faster to get that wood and berries if you do desire. But it's going to be difficult for any obvious town center placements. It really depends on their position in the map, and we're going to see both sides are now leveling up. They're more than likely School of Cavalry. It is on both teams' side. We're getting that School of Cavalry being prepared, with Bump Time being just a little bit further ahead at this stage, and that scout's coming on in, just causing a little bit of grievance to his opponents. He's going to be able to see his opponent's position in the School of Cavalry, which is one of your main things you want to know. You want to know in relation where your opponent is, and it's only just a little bit further ahead at this stage. He's going to quickly retreat to make sure he doesn't lose that scout, because he wants to keep an eye on what is being produced from his opponent. And the same thing with Bump Times. He's going to be looking around for that School of Cavalry himself. He's going to come back around to the side to get possibly an update or to find where that School of Cavalry is. He also doesn't know where his opponent situates in terms of, is he further ahead or is he sitting a little bit behind? In terms of economy, both teams have been pumping out their economy quite well, and here we go. Now he gets that information that his opponent is almost complete on his School of Cavalry. And if he compares that to himself, he knows he's a little bit ahead, maybe only 3 to 5 seconds. which gives you that confidence to say, well, I am going to be allowed to get a little bit more of my eco up and running. I don't have to pump out that cavalry as soon as it spawns. It will be useful, and he's already getting that now if he's Royal Knight. Will his opponent get it? Yes, they both did effectively have the villagers spread out across their economy to grab that initial knight. With a French versus French matchup, you generally do not see too much interest in sacred sites. You don't see much interest with your markets unless it's a very favorable market spawn. Where the markets have spawned on either side is going to leave your trade route vulnerable, which against the French player you really do not want to have, because they will punish that time and time again. And we're going to see some knights meet in the middle very shortly, or they might just run past it, not care too much to have a look at their opponent's backline, and oh, they're actually not going to see each other as they walk on past. But it looks like Step16's knight has now come to a little bit of a rest, but Bump Time, he's ready for this one. He's coming into the back of that base. He might find himself a villager. Remember, with that charge, it will do most of his damage. Then a single attack should almost clean up that villager. I believe you end up need 3 attacks at this early stage of the game. So he's going to that first one, second attack, and that third attack will clean up that gold. The response from Step16 is going to be able to save the rest of his villagers. And that villager, unfortunately, does get microed back in time. And this is going to be a little bit of an issue, because the second knight is coming around the back, and with 2 knights, some pikes there to ward him off. On the other side of the map though, Step16 is getting a little bit of information with that scout. He saw that a knight is already going on. He's trying to keep an eye on that as his knight goes forward. And his pikemen, they're getting stabbed in the back. He wasn't able to stop them in time to brace for impact. And now they're going to fight. He's not microing them against the same knight. Instead, he's leaving them to fight 1v1. And with spearmen, you need, on average, 3 to 1. That's the resource cost. 2 spearmen can sometimes kill a Royal Knight if you get that braced impact, but now he's going to fall behind there, and he's damaged. He got distracted down at the eco line of his opponent. He loses his knight. He's going to have to call his own knight back. He needs some more pikemen, and now the lancers, they're coming on in. They're killing the gold line of his opponents. Bump Times causing a lot of havoc for Step16. And remember, if you can cause the gold to be ceased and dismissed, that's going to halt the knight production, giving you the advantage. And he's already got himself chivalry up. Chivalry's still being worked upon from his opponent, so he's just going to be able to retreat, heal back up, and come and do this time and time again. And on the back foot of this, he's felt comfortable enough to go out to his hunt, start getting a little bit of extra food income from the side. And do we see any income from Stone? No, he doesn't look like he's going to be looking at getting any kind of second TC anytime soon. He's happy with the aggression and the position on the map as the charges are coming on in. And he gets 1. Will he get the second? Villager is going for the shot, and he does find it. He might even find himself a third. No, he cancelled the attack animation and pulled it away. The outpost is coming on up. I'd love this outpost to be even closer to that gold vein than what it currently is situated, because it's less time to react to be able to get those villagers to safety. So, with the income coming at the moment, you can see that gold for Bump Time is almost triple that of his opponents, and that's thanks to the raids he's doing. And, well, there's a Scout v Scout battle going on down here, and, well, there's only one Scout that's going to be out of victorious for this, and he starts making his retreat hastily. He sees those knights coming on in. If those knights hit him, he could be in a little bit of world of hurt. And actually, movement speed 1.62. Oh, they're the same movement speed. It almost looks like the knights were getting a little bit faster. And because he knows the 2 knights are down here, he says, well, if you've got 2 knights down here, I must have an overwhelming presence of knights up top. And this is what he's doing. Look at the amount of knights. Bump Times is coming on in. And they're coming in from the stab. They get 1. They all get a second one before it can even get to the tower. Like I said, the tower's not close enough to be able to save those villagers even faster. And they're just going to retreat. After finding the kill, Bump Times is going to quickly get on out of there. And, well, he takes no real damage for it. If we can find where Step16 is, he is forced to bring his 2 knights back to base. He's not pumping out any little knights. He might be a little bit distracted at the moment. And we've got another raid coming in on the berry line. Bump Times is not giving up on the relentless aggression. That outpost can only help one. The rest of the villagers are all outside of the comfort of that tower. And they all jump out and have to quickly go back on in. So the knights are going to retreat. But at the top, again, with his opponent distracted, he cleans up the gold line. The spearmen, they're standing so far away, they need to be brought up to the gold vein to help defend. I'm not too sure what that villager was up to, but managed to survive the life as Bump Times is now bringing his army back together. And we can now see this income reflected. Double food from that great raid on the berries. Triple, quadruple the gold. It's even more than quadruple of the gold income. And in a French versus French lineup, if you have that gold income and you can continue to keep massing your knights out of your school of cavalry, that is huge. I'd love to see Bump Times, however, rally his knights further up the field so he doesn't have to come back to micro them, and it gets him that reinforcements a lot earlier. He's currently not producing, but he is raiding. He's going to see some of these spearmen, but he doesn't care. This is a huge raid, and he gets out with everyone. The power of the French, able to raid you and not lose absolutely anything. Now he's going to be looking at coming up for this gold. He's not going to find anything up here because their gold hasn't been retreated. So that's what that one villager was doing. It's just hiding up the top, getting that one lone vein run. And now that comes on in, the pikemen are a little bit too late to engage. The knight's going to be chasing off the other knights with a huge pikeman army that Step16 is starting to create. If you look at it in terms of the firepower, Bump Times could engage and probably clean up this army because he does have a very large force, but he's just constantly putting aggression on his opponents. He might even turn around here and all those lances could clean up that knight, but he's going to continue to back off. And he's looking up going to the age 3. So once you see an age 3 French, they're going to unlock additional capabilities. Like, you're going to have that huge upgrade to the Royal Knights, a huge boost to the health and damage, which will be very strong at overwhelming. And I think that's what his idea is at the moment. Bump Time's going to hit that age 3, going to grab himself that Royal Knight upgrade, and then once that Royal Knight upgrade is done, I believe there's also an additional upgrade. There we go. The Canted Saddles, plus 10 bonus damage after a charge. I think that lasts for about 3 seconds. So if he can get these upgrades up, he's going to put himself so much further ahead than his opponents. And Step 16, there's not really much he can do about this. He's forced into his base. I'd love to potentially see maybe 2 knights to go for the raid and keep an eye on the rest of his base with the rest of his army, because you need to start putting aggression to your opponent. Because he's got 25 eco against 42 and unhoused Bump Times. He's going to be able to get that up very shortly. And now, this is classic French, and this is actually the perfect way to deal with your opponent's army. You're going to be grabbing knights, your French relative, and that forces your opponents to get pikemen, or spearmen, apologies. So what do? You back it up with archers. So you kite out the spearmen to come towards your horsemen, then you use your archers to clean them up. It is your textbook maneuver that is just absolutely unbeatable at times coming from the French player. We're going to see Step16. He's going to try and start walling up to at least protect some of this economy line. Give him some time to react to his opponents and at least secure him some way to get his economy back up and running and prepared to take Bump Times. But once he saw that age 3 up, he's going to be worried. We should be seeing that upgrade. We do see it. The upgrade to Veteran Knight. And it also looks like that Canted Saddles is also upgraded. So they're about to come online. They'll be 30 seconds. Once that 30 seconds has expired, you're going to see the push coming in from Bump Times. And you're going to see one very difficult defense from Step16. And look at that, you can see Bump Times is on the hunt. He's got such an overwhelming army. 13 Royal Knights. They're preparing rams. He sees the walls. He's like, okay, there's one way we can deal with this. Let's get ourselves some rams. He's got enough wood to be able to deal with this. His opponent, Step16, he's trying to build up as much as he can. He doesn't have that Knight Force though. It looks like he's decided to forego picking up those Royal Knights to grab other infantry and so basically your spearmen and archers. And now the assault's coming in from those knights. He's got to see that there are a few archers and understands it's a little bit of a defense, but the battering ram is now making its way towards the opponents. And bump time, it starts the first few shots. Remember, rams have a huge armor bonus. The knights are going to come on out, but this is not the engagement you want to take. With all the knights from his opponent, bump times comes on in. They steals one kill. The archers are looking to try and finish off the last one. No, we do get a nice little lance to the back of the horse to clean that one up. And there goes half of the knight force for his opponent, Step16. And they're going to continue to bump down this wall. Once that wall is down, these knights are going to come on in. They're going to fight up against Step16's army. And there's just really not enough here for his opponent to be able to deal with. Bump times has just put so much aggression, so much pressure. It's completely shut down Step16 in this match. As they're just all going to go. And there is the GG called. We'll be seeing Step16 move on in the Zero Effort Weekly Tournament. You can just see that the villager counts, the raids from bump times constantly putting pressure onto his opponent. And then Step16 did get a little bit of pressure back, but then he came back home to try and defend his own eco line. And once he made that call to defend his own eco line, he was on the back foot the rest of the match. The constant aggression against that gold vein meant that Step16 could not keep up with his opponent. It was continuing watching his own eco, losing villagers, couldn't keep up with the spearmen or knight production, and just fell off to the end of time. So, with that, my friends, that is... Actually, what was that? That was another round of one match. So we're going to be looking for some round of two matches, some winners and losers in the tournament, and we'll try and bring you that action as soon as possible. So stay tuned. More Age of Empires action 4 action coming up shortly.